This is Inside the Griffins. Welcome back, everybody, to Inside the Griffins. I'm your host, Rob Morrison, running back coach here at Seton Hill University. Today, my guest is Offensive Coordinator Charles Eger. Coach Eger, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Rob.
Now, Coach, before we get into offensive scheme and philosophy, can you just give the fans a little background on your playing and coaching career?
Sure. Actually, I had the opportunity to play college football at two places. I graduated from Central Connecticut State University, which I'm very proud of. Has a rich tradition of coaches making their way up to the NFL. The second part was I attended Hofstra University for 2 years as well. After I graduated from Central, from that I ended up spending 4 years in the Arena Football League.
Okay. And before coming to Seton Hill, where have you had coaching experience? Last year at Widener, you were the offensive coordinator. What other stops before Widener have you made?
Most of my coaching career was at Central Connecticut. I spent 10 years there, both as a strength coach and as a offensive line coach, and I moved to receivers later on. So that's really molded a lot of my coaching background.
Okay. Now coming from Widener to Seton Hill, bringing your offense with you. Widener had a very prolific offense, and bringing it here to Seton Hill, and it's been successful at other levels at the FCS, at Central Connecticut and other schools, and all the way to Division III. Can you talk a little bit about the system and why it is so successful at every level of football?
Well, a couple things. The first reason why we've been successful is our head coach, the way he allows us to practice. It's very, very important that our practice is set up a certain way for us to make sure that we can get done the things we need to do. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of individual pieces. And Coach Collins has been awesome with allowing that to happen. The second part of it is, I've had some great mentors that I've worked with. Guys like Rob Likens, who's now at Cal, has really impacted my past game knowledge. Being around coaches like Paul Shudell and Sal Senorino and some great coaches back in college were real important to me. And then a lot of the quick game, pass game knowledge from the Arena League, being around guys like John Gregory, and was just a legend in his own, being in the CFL and the Arena Football League, and helped mentor Kurt Warner. And,
okay.
So it's been a great opportunity for me to be around some really, really good coaches, and I think it's been a collaboration of all their teachings that have helped me put this thing together.
Perfect. Now, last year at Widener, you had a quarterback, Chris Hopp, who for the last 2 seasons, his junior and senior year, was a finalist for the Gagliardi Award, which in Division III is the equivalent of the Heisman for the best player in all of Division III. How has your coaching style and the philosophy helped mold him into a Gagliardi finalist?
Well, a big part of it was who Chris was. Chris is a phenomenal person. He put his time in. He really learned the offense. He became a coach on the field, and I think the biggest thing I taught Chris to do is how to think strategically on the field versus just going out there and being a robot to the play. And that's kind of what he became great at for him, was he's been able to get himself into better looks than what the play would call, which made me look a lot better. But he was able to understand the game and understand our offense inside and out, and it really allowed him to be successful.
So on the field, your quarterbacks have a lot of options for them, and in the offense, are they stuck in what you call, or do they have kind of the option to check out of it into a better look, or what options do they have?
Our quarterbacks have a lot of freedom in our offense. I'll keep the reins on them pretty tight through camp and allow them a certain check system that they're allowed to go to. But for the most part, as they develop as a player and move on through the system through years, they have more and more freedom to get themselves in and out of situations. Sometimes they just see things later in a possession that I don't see or I miss that can turn into points for us.
Now, along with your offensive coordinator responsibilities and coaching the quarterbacks, you're also the strength and conditioning coach here at Seton Hill. What's the basis for the strength program? What is it based off of? What's the fundamentals of our strength program here?
We're an Olympic-based program. Again, I was blessed to be around some really good strength coaches throughout my coaching career. It was obviously my degree study. But we've molded to be around, and we're an Olympic philosophy. We do believe you need to be explosive on the field. We believe explosive training. Our movement skills are taught. We don't scream at our kids and tell them to run faster. We actually teach movement skills. We put a lot of time into foot placement and angles and contact points, and we really try to teach our kids the fundamentals of movement prior to just conditioning them. And I think between having an Olympic-based strength program, which we've seen some phenomenal gains on with our kids already because they didn't have one,
Yep.
and then looking at our movement mechanics and the way we teach movement and speed, because it is a skill and you can teach it. It just takes time, and we've put a lot of time into that. And it's going to be a process over the next 2 and 3 years.
Yep.
Of the younger guys will have a much greater advantage of being in it for a couple of years. They'll see the results. But ultimately, it's about teaching. And I think everything we bring, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, or strength conditioning, or sports performance, we spend a lot of time teaching the details and making sure the fundamentals are set first.
So there's just as much coaching going on in the weight room as there would be on the field, would you say?
Sure.
Yeah.
We film our lifts. We film our lifts. We film our running sessions. We film our technique sessions, and it gets broken down, and the kids can evaluate their workout sessions on Huddle, just like they do their film from practice. So we don't treat the sport performance side any different than we would treat our offense. It's that important to us.
Now with the whole background in Olympic lifting, and you said there wasn't much of a program Olympic-wise when you got here, in the short time from January now into June and July, has there been much gain? You haven't had a whole lot of time to mold them and shape them in those quick months, but have you seen a whole lot of gain strength-wise with the team?
Sure, there's been a huge change. We've had about a 27% increase across the board as a strength gain in all our lifts, not only our Olympic lifts. So that part's been nice. The renovation of the weight room, which is really, really important, has been a big part of why we've been able to be successful in there. Having just the regimen and kids being held accountable for making their lifts have been a part of it. But ultimately, the big part is our kids have put the effort in.
Right.
They've done a phenomenal job of trying to compete every day in the weight room, and done a phenomenal job in morning runs and in conditioning bouts of trying to give the extra. And as long as they continue to do that, they will grow as players. And we've seen that, and the kids have been passionate about it. And as long as they keep their passion and they stay stimulated, they're going to have tremendous gains in there.
Okay. Now, you touched a little bit about the renovations, and we talked some with Coach Collins about the improvements around campus. Can you talk about a little bit of the new equipment that we have coming in for this season, for the middle of the summer in July?
Sure. The weight room renovation was one of the big things as we took this position here, that especially when I came in, was are we going to have the space to fix our our strength conditioning rooms, and are we going to bring the equipment in necessary to make our kids physically better? And we did. And the company what we're using is it's called Legend Fitness.
Okay.
They do a majority of NFL weight rooms. It's cutting edge technology, from our platforms to our bars to the rack systems that we have in here, which we're pretty excited about. So it's been a great movement by the administration to support us, to give us the tools that we need. All the pieces are there.
Right.
We'll be putting them in place here throughout the next 6 months or so once the season starts. And once we get into the season, all the pieces we have will be there. We just need to continue to grow as a program, and that's going to take a little bit of time.
Awesome. Well, Coach, now talking back a little bit of offense, we kind of went away from it a little bit. You're the offensive coordinator, so you're responsible for getting everything installed and getting everything taught the way you want it. How did those first 15 practices and the 15 installs of the offense go for you?
I thought it was good. Going through spring ball and having just a majority of our staff be together. It wasn't a lot of teaching for us on offense as far as the coaches. We had just one new coach join our staff, Coach Powell. He's done a phenomenal job. He's got a ton of experience, and I'm very excited about him working with our O-line. But yourself and Coach Taylor were all with me at Widener, and we understand the system. So I think when you talk about installing, the fact that your coaches understand what you're doing first, and they know how practice is going to be, they understand our tempo, they understand our demands, I think was real important. Now, bringing that to the kids, I think helps, because together you can confidently explain to your position group what I'm expecting, because you know. And when we get out in the field, I think as the 15 practices wore on, we started to become a unit. We started to understand, what we needed to look for, and the tempo of practice that we wanted. And what was important to me, the details, the ball security details, alignments and assignments, and understanding what was important to our offense to be successful. And it was nice to see it to come to fruition. We're lucky. We have an awesome quarterback. Drew Jackson is a phenomenal player. He's very, it's fun to coach.
Yep.
He's very exciting to watch. I think our skill guys are very talented. But the biggest change I thought for us was up front. I watched a lot of our offensive linemen get a lot better this spring, and that was exciting. Yep. Because if we can get the big guys playing, we're going to be in good shape.
Yeah.
So it was nice. It was nice to see everybody develop throughout the spring.
Good. Now, you talked a little bit about the tempo of practice and getting people going. And can you talk a little bit about what is tempo of practice? Like, all practices aren't the same, obviously, from team to team. What's the tempo of practice when you talk about that?
So for us, it's our head coach's philosophy that we don't want to be on the field very long. So we limit ourselves to 2 hours at max of practice, and that incorporates special teams, and that incorporates your warm-up period. So there's not a lot of practice time there for us. So for us to get the amount of reps that we need to move from drill to drill. There's not a lot of standing around. There's not a lot of talking on the field. So for us, it's about getting our reps in practice, whether it's a skill drill, a concept drill, or a team period. We need to make sure that we're getting our reps in and we're constantly on the move. So that's what's important for us, because we're just not out there a long time.
Right.
We believe that our kids need to stay fresh, and they need to be excited about football. We need to get at it, and being out there for 3.5 hours for a practice is those days are gone.
Yeah.
So when we talk about tempo, it's about getting our reps in the amount of time that we have, and it really breaks down to about 90 minutes of offensive time. So
awesome. Well, Coach, I appreciate you joining me here on Inside the Griffins and talking about weightlifting and the offensive philosophy here. Fans, remember that our first game is at Fairmont State on September 5th at 7 p.m. The first home game, however, is a week later on September 14th against East Stroudsburg at 6 p.m. We look forward to seeing you all down at Offit. Remember, you can follow all your coaches on Facebook and Twitter. You can follow Coach Eger here on Twitter at Coach Eger and on Facebook at Charles Eger. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Inside the Griffins, and look forward to seeing you on future episodes.